Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Stanisci of NLL Lacrosse Talk. Welcome to the Spanglish Sports World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on NLL Lacrosse Talk, our co-host Gary Groob and our special guest Rod Jensen, who just lost the Man Cup. And he's here. I have to admire the fact that, that you're here and more than willing to talk about lacrosse. But isn't that the definition of lacrosse? But before I ask you that question, we want to ask you the question we always want to ask. And that is, of course, how you got involved in lacrosse.
Yeah, thanks. As a young kid, we started playing hockey. My parents said it was too early to drive us to the rink at 5, 6 in the morning. So swapped our family to lacrosse. And from 5 years old, off and running and played and coached and et cetera, et cetera. And now I'm 60. So, but yeah, it goes by pretty quick.
Okay, so you guys had a great series in the Man Cup. It's one of the most glorious events to be a part of. I'm sure, first of all, getting there is a real big deal, right?
Absolutely. You know what? This is pretty funny. Some of my friends call me the Marv Levy of lacrosse.
Oh no!
Because I've lost four lacrosse Man Cup championships as a head coach. So I don't know how many are, but of course I live on the West Coast, not the East Coast. But anyways, hey, I thought Marv Levy was a good coach in his day.
But fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, you know, the East, in the old days, it would just be the West would win out West and the East would win out East. And now it's just turned one way. And we're doing our best out here West to get out there and compete. I think the lines the stars kind of aligned this year because that PLL, we both lost players, but I think the East probably lost more. And, they had some problems back East getting started. So we, it wasn't an easy road. Victoria and Nanaimo, very quality teams. We had to beat the playoffs, but we just started building on our way and made it there and gave Peterborough a good run. 2010, I was up 2-0 up in the third period, and they switched it and won 4 in a row. And this one, winning that game 6 after being down 3-2, they won 3 in a row. I just had a gut feeling we were going to pull it off, and we just couldn't do it at the end there.
Well, it was a very close event, and you guys did well, and it was a great series to watch. Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, I got up to 3 of those games, and they were fantastic games. And I was up at game 6, and I've never heard 4,000 people be so quiet in my life because literally about halfway through the first period, you guys kicked it up a gear, and that was it. They never got back in that game.
And sorry, Gareth. I think they did that in game 5. Yeah, I think they did that in game 5 to us. So it's a really tricky thing as a coach. You have a perfect game in game 6, and you go, guys, we just got to do the same for game 7. But mentally, they go back in their changing room and go, that was pathetic. We got to pull up our socks. We got everything on the line. We're traditional champions. We don't behave that way. And, they had a great start. We crawled it back to 9-9 and just couldn't get over the mountain there.
Well, that's the strange thing about that game because, that series was so even. And then, of course, like I said, Peterborough had a great first period. They had you down 7-3. But you guys don't put your tails between your legs. You keep going. You fight back. You even take the lead 9-8. And we go 9-9 into period 3. And literally, in that intermission, listening to everybody, nobody knew which way we'd go. And it literally would come down to which team came out of which dressing room. And Peterborough got the quick jump. And that was the difference. And the rest of it was just playing catch up. And that wasn't always a good recipe for either team during that series. Yeah. And it was strange. But to have it come down to one period in a best of 7 with the 2 best teams in Canada, in my opinion, was a pretty astounding thing to witness.
Yeah, and ironically enough, I thought I gave my best speech in the history of my speeches. I got to tell the guys, if someone told me at the Vancouver International Airport we'd be 9-9 after 2 periods in game 7, I would jump all over it, right? So it seemed motivational at the time, but anyways, You know what? It's tough to beat. Before the series started, I said, we're not actually, I'm not too concerned. Well, obviously I'm concerned about the players. It's just winning tradition. And that's what they have. And unless you bust that a little bit and give them some doubt, they just continue to carry that torch, and good on them. Phenomenal lacrosse community. I've had 2 great experiences there in terms of the actual games and how we were treating that. Just couldn't get over the top, and got to keep building. I had a very strong offense. I've coached at NLL. I've coached some really good teams, and that's probably the strongest offense I've ever coached. Our defense was very young. I think we needed a couple more NLL type defenders, and maybe could have got a different result. But no excuses. They were the better team, and they pulled it off at the end.
Well, really, that would be an NLL All-Star game, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You go through it and what you, because your team, like Curtis Dixon, Dane Dobby, Connor Robinson, Jordan Magnuson, Robert Church, Dylan Kinnear, Chase County. My God, I just name them off. I can keep rolling them. That's a hell of an offense.
Yeah, definitely. And they like I said, we had good scouting reports of their players because my assistant coach Dave Pym was the head coach in Calgary and whatnot. So we had some good takes of their player. But this Holden Catoni, he did. I call him the Lewis Ratcliffe of my Langley Thunder team. But boy, did he light us up like no tomorrow.
Yeah, hey, that's a hell of a shot. He was our guest last week. Actually, we were talking with him. Really, really great guy. And basically, the team went as he went. When he scored, they won. When he didn't score, they didn't win. But his brother Nate actually became. He found his niche during that series because he seemed to be looking for an identity. As Holden's got that shot, but he seemed to find his way in close. And when you got the key on Resta Terrets, he was able to get in there and start playmaking and get a few shots from inside as well. So you guys actually defined his character for him.
Well, no, he played he gave us a lot of trouble because, I know Mark Matthews, I've coached him. I know all these guys, and they're phenomenal players, but their movement isn't as much. But the younger Catoni kid, he moved really quickly. He gave us a lot of trouble with speed inside and out. So that was a challenge.
See, that's another interesting thing is talking about the speed, because I remember I was at the NLL draft just after game 1, and all the guys are there, and I was asking the question of, did the speed of the Thunder take you guys off guard a little bit? Because I think that I don't think that they realized just how quick a team you had, and in game 1 especially, the transition really it left them flat-footed a lot of the time.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Nanaimo was probably our fastest team in our league, but we played them prior to coming back east, so that helped us. But we're not used to playing with benches on opposite sides, right? We're used to being all the action on the same side. So that was a real different thing that we had to deal with, but it seemed to pay off. We seemed to be able to run the floor a lot better than we did out west, even at times.
Mm-hmm. And I'll get into the out west part. You guys had a really great summer. That was such a logjam at the top to finish the season, with 4 teams tied at the top and going down to who got a win and who got a goal and just to try and get the slots. That's crazy.
Crazy. I think I've coached in the senior A division for over 25 years. I've never seen 4 teams in a 4-way tie. I don't even think the commissioner knew how to figure out who was in first, second, third, or fourth. But it worked out. And we lost to New West in a regular season game, and we were actually fighting for a playoff spot. And I think we were favored to win the league with that offense, but we had to give everything that we could. And lucky enough, we went over to Victoria, and I think we took us lightly one night. We had probably the weakest lineup I've ever taken over there, and we pulled. Chase Scanlon scored 5 goals and won with about 10 seconds left, and that was our turnaround. We weren't looking back.
Yeah, you guys were playing the best at the end of the year. You guys were playing the best at the end of the year out of the 4 teams. You just didn't have enough time to pass them. If there were a couple more games, you might have.
Yeah, I think I probably would have. At the end of the day, the cream rises to the top, and I think eventually, and especially it's funny with veteran players that play in NLL, like Connor Robinson won a championship, Dixon, Dobie, they played in the playoffs. It's difficult to motivate them in an 18-game schedule for games 1 to 14 even. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden from 14 on, okay, we're ready to go.
Yeah, but the Mann Cup is something that, every lacrosse player knows what it's about. They all know what it's about.
No disrespect to any other championship, the NLL or different leagues that have happened. For a Canadian lacrosse player, the Mann Cup is the Stanley Cup. Absolutely. It's a battle to get there. 3-game. We have to play 3 best-of-7 series to win it all. 21 wins, and we only came up with 20.
Yeah, well, let's be honest here, right? It's the championship of Canadian players who play a specific. Well, they're really good at a specific brand of play,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's the best against the best playing the same game, which makes it a real challenge. If it doesn't matter which side you're on, and the fans as well.
Absolutely. And I know that box lacrosse is really starting to take off in the U.S., even though they're fantastic at field. So I'm anticipating us trying to get some Americans down to, because
Sure.
even when I did that tryout in Colorado, I had some of the football team, and these guys try out, and I go, wow, these guys are incredible athletes. I just need to teach them how to hold a stick.
Yeah.
Now, the PLL, when they came out at the beginning of this year and said that none of our players can play anywhere but here, originally, WLA and MSL were sending letters going, come on now, the Man Cup. Was that not a godsend in disguise? We got a chance to see a whole lot of players that probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to play Senior A and play in the playoffs and Man Cup.
Yeah, that definitely opened the door for some people, and yeah, I'm pretty sure some of the stronger PLL guys that are good at box were disappointed. Although we had a couple loopholes there because we were able to use Salama, and we actually had Trey Leclerc that we should have used because he's a phenomenal player, but we kind of slipped up on that one. And they had a couple players, Withers and Courier, that could have played if they had lost or were available. So, yeah, there's no question it opened the door for some other players. And, yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is there. I know that if you're an athlete, you probably want to play in both leagues, but I understand, the people paying the bills don't want to take any risk and whatnot at times. So it'd be interesting to see how things looking forward. Curtis Dixon elected no PLL and played for us, and boy, did that pay off for us.
Oh, would it be a leap to suggest that because of that there were a couple more younger players who maybe, like to Gary's point, that may not have had a chance, that don't have the reputation but have the skill and ability that played?
100%, Frank. No question on both sides of both Peterborough and us, and probably in our playoffs and whatnot. We had to, there's in our league, probably out west, I think there's probably, I would guess between 15 and 20 PLL players. So there's definitely, you have to make up their spots because usually those PLL players are definitely starters in our league. They're just athletic, or they'll have something special that they have to offer. And so for some young people and after a 2-year layoff too, right? It was tough to, there were some tough decisions to make. I had, 30 draft picks I had to go over a 3-year period. And unfortunately, I'm still married, but my first cut was my son.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
You sleep with one eye open now?
Yeah, one eye open already. out in the back shed.
Yeah, extra alarms at their cans, everything.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
How did you handle that? Sorry, Gary. How did you handle that? How did you and your son handle you cutting him? How like if someone else was in that position, what would you suggest, regardless of what you did, but how you would handle it?
It's there's always challenges, but I've tried to teach him as an athlete to take responsibility and make your way in whatever areas of life. So yeah, it wasn't easy. He was close because our defense was so young, and he switched over to play defense. But at the end of the day, he just wasn't quite ready for Senior A, and he plays on my ALL team. He's probably sick of playing with me, but I think he works hard. He'll have an opportunity, whether it's with me or not. And I don't know if it's a cliche. Sometimes failure can make you more determined or something like that to really step up and reach your potential. So
let's talk about how you got into the coaching. Like you had a great junior career and you had a great career with the Burrards. You had 460 points. How did you get into coaching and not further playing? Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm a high school teacher, and my other specialty, I coach basketball. I coach some national players in Canada and whatnot. And a lot of the sort of the pick and rolling and some of the systems you can use in lacrosse. So I thought I had a real advantage there. And I just you know, I like teaching, but I enjoy coaching. That's basically what I got into teaching. I thought, you know what, I can't get this whole body up and down the floor anymore. So why don't I try to give something back and offer some help in the coaching department? And it's brought me some great memories, some great travels, and some real good networking and meeting people. So yeah, so I just started coaching right after I started, right after I played, and I got up to the different levels. And like I said, I had stints in Colorado and Vancouver and
Well, yeah,
and
I have this
Calgary.
on for you, right?
Yeah, that's a beautiful. Hey, that fits good, Gary. I
Not
like
bad.
that. Yeah, not
bad,
bad at
eh?
all. Yeah. So
One of my favorite jerseys, you know.
you got it. Yeah. So now I'm
I don't
sorry.
have a Lightning Thunder jersey.
I'll see what I can do, Gary. I'll see what I can do. Definitely not Frank. I'm gonna send him a Peterborough jersey.
That's okay. Gary already has one.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so like you said,
That's a collection.
like we say, these networking things are kind of neat. So now I'm the assistant coach under Tony Gray of this Team Mexico. So we're gonna coach the Mexico national team for the 2024 Indoor Championships in the Czech Republic. So I get to connect with some Eastern U.S. coaches and see what their stuff's all about, and try the experience with the Mexican national team.
That's pretty cool. Now, the ALL, I've worked with Paul St. John with the ALL East, and we've had him on a couple of times, once talking about himself and, CLAX and ALL. And the second time we had him with all your executive of the ALL West just before it took shape and took feet and carried on. Let's talk about the first year there. It looked like it was an excellent year. It looks like it's growing and is going to expand. What was it like just playing in one arena and with the 4 teams and the players that you got a chance to see?
Yeah, you know what? Just like we talked about opportunities for the PL guys that went to the PL for other young kids, you know, it's it is I think it's a legit situation here. These players can they're just a step away from the NLL, the pro league, and some of the players have been called up. I had John Phillips play for me, and he's an Nanaimo kid. He's going to be in the NLL for sure playing this year in Las Vegas, and
Right.
Some other players. So yeah, it was a good experience that way, and also we've only changed the rules to speed up the game. My first experience was with the ALL, and now we speed it up with the WLA this year. But so that was good for me in terms of 8 seconds, get the ball, pick up the pace, pressing, do that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, it wasn't massive fans or anything, but we took pride with our 4 teams, and I think the players thought it was professional, and they got the best out of it, and hopefully we can build on that.
Yeah, well, what I got out of it here is a lot of it comes down to there's that number one after the season's over in the summer. What do? You'll hang up your stick and you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
NLL teams have a problem if they get injuries because they have nowhere to get anybody that's in game shape. And it also takes that little extra to teach these guys what to do in the next level, how to get there, how to stay there. And that's what the ALL, in my eyes, is good for, because you have guys coming down as well as guys going up and trying to get the information back, let alone the coaching and all the expertise of you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I think there's a good. I'm not sure yet. It's only been a year for me, but I've talked to quite a few NLL coaches about the players that we have and about my suggestions and whatnot. And I think the fellow that's running out west is Rob Buchan, who's my owner in Langley, the Buchan family. He took a really professional approach, and we wanted to make sure that we had good coaches, quality coaches that were,
Right.
out here in West, and that it wasn't always about winning and losing. It was just development. It's a development league.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a difference though with lacrosse with other games, right? Because you've got, not only do you have scouts looking for players, you have players looking for teams, and they know people on the teams, and there's no secrets in lacrosse, especially when it comes to talent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You got to be in the right time, the right place. But again, if you play well and produce, You know, I truly believe these NL coaches are at least have somebody watching these AL games and keeping an eye on them and giving their opinion, because who doesn't want to get better if you there's somebody you can feel. So it's not like sort of a league that just kind of gives a couple guys an extra time to improve their skills. I think it's a good feeder system and development league. And what more can a young athlete ask for if they haven't quite got to the level to keep pursuing their dream or hope?
Yeah, the biggest challenge for teams in finding players is a resume to look at. And now with the advent of it seems every lacrosse league has a way of broadcasting their games on the internet. That also is an opportunity for the teams higher up than the level that team or organization is showing to find those players at a lower level, to bring them up, at least have a better idea of who they are. You literally don't have to go to the arena anymore, which might have been the biggest challenges back a little while ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I always tease my kids to be careful about social media, but shows like yours here and different types of media really promote our sport, and you can get easy access and, you know, press a few buttons. You can learn a little bit about who they are and, you know, indefinite suspensions and stuff like that, you know.
Listen, your mother told me my son does not do steroids. Take a look at him.
That's why I only got my head showing right now.
No, all kidding aside, before the show, we were having a little fun. I was having a little fun with Gary because Gary had a Peterborough shirt, and I don't remember. I didn't realize he had a Langley one too. So I was gonna rest. Nice. What's going on? You know, you have a good sense of humor, and you have a lot of fun doing what you're doing. At least it looks like it anyway to me. Tell us a little bit about relationships when it comes to lacrosse, and how, you know, it transcends the team that you're with. There are a lot of connections that you have that you picked up through the years that help you keep moving forward in the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, this was a unique year. We brought up 5 juniors from our Langley junior team, and 3 of them played quite a bit in the series, right? And their parents were there. So it was just kind of neat to see how excited these kids were. And I had to tell them, hey, Dane Dobie, who's one of the best players in the world, he's never played in the Mann Cup. So that was Dane Dobie's. So the different sort of feelings, and Dane's parents were there, and it's just kind of really different dynamic, listening to the parents and players and that from different eras even, right? But, you know, that's one of the driving forces, Frank. You're bang on. Networking and learning different things about the game. I always kind of keep an open mind. The day I think I know everything is the day I'm going to get a coaching. But, you know, when you're able to go to a building or a place and you really enjoy what you're doing, I don't think life can get any better than that. And keeps you young, keeps you involved, and that motivates me to try to help coach and whatnot.
A lot of the players and coaches and people involved in lacrosse come from a hotbed, which we've learned on this program is really important to the players who come from there when they get appreciation from home. That's, I think, at the root of why the Mann Cup is so important, because essentially everybody goes home and now it's the competition that they remember seeing when they're young and starting to play. Absolutely. So they get to live in those shoes that they idolize, the players that they idolized. Gary can't leave Peterborough without talking about how great it is to meet all these great players, and all these great, veterans, and it's just, the love of the game never ends. The fact that you're coaching doesn't surprise me. What is it like for you when you look at people that were your age when you played a little bit, and you did some pretty good things when you're playing? How do you look at the players who are coaching that from playing around or with them?
Like I said, I've been very fortunate. I've coached Gary Gate. I played against Gary Gate. John Tavares, he played with me the year I went to the Mann Cup. So it's kind of unique. There was a day I was in the changing room in a senior A uniform, and I was the youngest guy on the team, thinking, look at all these old guys. But it switches quickly, and I'm not sure. I would imagine I'm the oldest senior A coach in Canada right now, considering I've been doing it for like 25 years. I think there's a lot of young coaches now. But, like I said, it's rewarding. It's just something that I've always loved to do, whether it was basketball or lacrosse, and that coaching and network and the friends and the experiences have been amazing. And, it's not done yet. 60's the new 50s, so
Absolutely.
I'm
Are you
looking
sure?
forward to it. Well,
I
I
need to
think
know
so.
that. I need to know that. I have to be
Yeah.
convinced of that.
Well, it
Is
is.
70 the new 60?
There you go. I got 10,
okay,
10
good.
years, but I like that, Frank.
Well,
Good
I'm catching
attitude.
up to the 61.
I wasn't talking about you.
I'm looking. I'm only a couple of years behind you.
Yeah.
So,
But like I said,
you.
if I didn't have the coaching, my wife would have me cleaning up the house all the time. So it gives me an excuse to slide out the door.
Hey, Gary, the more I look at Mr. Jensen, I'm looking at him a little more carefully. He reminds me of the Leaf coach, Sheldon Keefe.
Quite you.
Oh, is that in wins or losses? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the way you look, especially from here up. I see you and I think of him. It's probably wrong, but when you played the game, what did you bring to coaching in your mind? Not just about your game, but the players you played against.
Well, I'm lucky. I have 3 older brothers, so they really pumped me into being competitive and everything else. And so I think I was a pretty strong player. I was an offensive player, even though back in those days you had to run back and play defense. So it's tough to coach competitiveness, but I think I've always had that, which I've had to try find ways to get players that are good players, but maybe won't win at all costs, to get as much as you can over. So that's been a unique dynamic, and then you'll have a player that's average that will tear through a wall for you, do anything. So I think it's a real challenge for a coach, and I'm trying to find ways to motivate players that if they're not that competitive, like super win at all costs, to get them as high as they can, because the players like Dane Dobie that will win at all costs, they just can't understand why the guy beside him won't do the same. So, that probably is my biggest driving force to like to coach and win and compete. And I can't do it on the floor anymore. So my offerings on the bench, I think, is the next best thing.
Wow. So for you, it sounds like the mental game is the most important factor. And I guess that's because the players that you end up coaching, because you coach at the level that you coach, they all have the talent. They all have the ability. They all can shoot. They all can run. So it comes down to mental attitude.
That's a great point, Frank. And you know what? Like any sport, like why does momentum happen? Why do you win the first 2 games, lose the next 3? So that mental part's important to be able to keep your athletes at a focus level. Whether you, depending if you win or lose, is a challenge, right? Like I think what do we win? Game 6, we won 9-4. I could scream and say, "Oh, they're going to do many different things next game," but they had in their head, we played a great game, we're going to be fine. So right. I'm not saying we let our guard down, but that's a real challenge as an athlete mentally, knowing that you almost played a perfect game. So and like I said, with Peterborough, knowing that they embarrassed their fans and themselves, it's just a different makeup that you step out the floor with. So if I figure that out, we'll retire and we'll all be millionaires.
I heard somebody, a coach once told me, he said, Frank, sometimes, he told me this in private, so I can't say who it is, but anyway, they admitted me, they said, sometimes when I'm in the locker room, in the dressing room, the changing room, whatever you want to call it, sometimes I can tell when we're going to lose. I can feel it. And that boggles my mind a little bit because, well, if you knew, why didn't you change it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you help me with that?
I can, Frank. And it's a feeling of helplessness because you watch the warm up and like a couple guys are late. People are dragging around. They're dropping balls and you pull them. We have 2 warm ups. You pull them in after the first warm up. What the heck's going on here? We're not focused. We're going to be in trouble tonight. Obviously you're dropping balls now. We can't do that in the game. And they're nodding their head. Yes, coach. We'll pick it up. The second warm-up looks worse than the first. And you go like, I try to see if we can get the game postponed or something. If they could pull the plug for the power or something. But your person that mentioned that, like I do see that sometimes, right? And it's crazy.
Yeah, it boggled my mind when I heard it from him. And he wasn't saying that his team was no good. He was saying that the team comes ready to play a lot of times, but sometimes it's easy to discern that they're not ready to play for some reason. And if you had the key for that, if coaches had the key for that, that's the way you win 47 games in a row. Because it's easy to go out there and send guys out when they're, like you said, you got Dane Dobie who's saying, I gotta win. And then if it rubs off, then you got a chance to keep winning. It's that key to get everybody on that same page that, that basically determines how good a team you have.
Yeah, and Frank, what the deal with that is, it can only, at times it can be like only 3 or 4 players that are turned off or not on, and it can affect the whole team. And vice versa. You could have 3 or 4 players on. If they're the right players, we're going to be okay, because they just are able to, regardless of what the coaches say, regardless of how they think to themselves, they're in the game, and they just push everybody to a new level. But it's a challenge.
I got a name for it. I call it the mental flu. It's disastrous if everybody catches it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's totally contagious, Gary. Totally.
Now, that's also why I guess the Mann Cup is so special, because you take a look at, you have to keep these guys focused for probably, at worst 21 games inside a month. That's on anybody's schedule. That's an insane amount of playing, let alone at that kind of physicality.
Yeah, we try to break it down like we treat each period as a separate game, but at the end of the day, they know they got to win 21. But because if you look at the outcome or look too far ahead, usually things don't turn out that way. So we try to just focus on process and strategies and whatnot, and just take baby steps and build to the top. And we're close, but hopefully next year when it's out west, and we can finally get this job done and get this Marv Levy thing off my back.
I already have a place to stay for the week and a half there. So
let's get it done. All right.
Oh boy,
family I haven't visited in a while.
I love it.
Well, the Marv Levy thing is something that speaks to the fact that you get there, and it just sometimes luck is what it is, and the breaks are what the breaks. I think you're being a little hard on yourself, but okay. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? How many? We talked about this before we went to air as well. Sorry, Gary. How many people? Doesn't matter what they do: play, coach, own a team, run a team, the fans. When you start the season and there's no chance, you don't really believe that you can make it to the championship, and then you somehow make it there. How many people forget where they were at the beginning of the year as far as the team is concerned? They would have given their eye teeth to make it to the championship. And we sometimes don't appreciate our accomplishments. That's what I want to say to you.
No, and I appreciate
your accomplishments. You know what I mean? It sincerely.
And I appreciate it, Frank. And I don't know if it was good timing or I'm a good coach or whatever, but 2010, I won the Minto Cup with Kirk Milowski in Coquitlam, which was there first. And he said, let's do it again next year. Then I was offered the Langley job, and he thought it was preposterous. They lost every year, but the stars aligned. We went 8-8 and went to 2 straight Mann Cups, 2011, 2012, and gave Peterborough a good run in 2012. And even our loss at home against Brampton, it was 4-1, but every game was like a 1 or 2 goal game. Unfortunately, they had a guy named Dangerous Dan Dawson and Cosmo, and they were 2 guys that, to be honest with you, Dan Dawson has cost me at least 2 Mann Cup rings by himself.
It's good.
I can see that. And this time it was his brother Paul.
Yes, his brother Paul.
He runs in the family.
Runs in the family.
By the way, Tim Hortons is our sponsor.
I love it.
Oh, this is McDonald's. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Oh, it was actually interesting. The first warm up, I'm looking down and looking at my team and go, that looks like a junior A team. I look down and say, holy smokes! Like their defenders are big and mean and aggressive, and I don't know, it's something out in the water out here on the West Coast. We're very polite and don't want to cross the line. We play by the rules. We pick somebody up if they get knocked down. Not the Eastern guys; they're tough. I got to be honest.
Well, there might be a little bit to that fact, probably because of the different kind of lifestyle that we have here. And by lifestyle, I mean lacrosse lifestyle. It's very competitive here. There's a lot of players, and to get onto the team, I'm sure in Peterborough might be really tough, considering how many players would like to play for that team and what that team has as far as an opportunity to pick players is concerned.
Yeah. One of my friends from back east, he said, how do you guys, or how come you guys are so tough? He goes, well, you know what? When we have a picnic, the family joined together. There's 3 fights at the picnic, 2 ladies, a couple of things that at the end of the night, they hug each other. What a great picnic. We have a picnic out west. We hand out the watermelon, the pizza, ask someone if they want the last piece, and everyone, there's no issue, there's no hurry. I go, okay, that's interesting perspective.
Yeah, it you know, it is what well, they're people after all. At the end of the day, everybody, you know, people are people, and they do what they do. But the point is, they all have fun playing the game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what coast you're on. They have a lot of fun playing the game.
Totally agree.
Now, at the draft in that first round, out of 23 picks, 18 of them went to East Coast guys, 5 to the West. This is a thing year after year after year that boggles my mind, because you guys have got some really great players out there. Why is it such a differential, do you think, of the West not getting picked? Is it not having the games exposed? Because I can catch any one of your games anytime. So I don't understand how there's such a discernible difference.
Well, Gary,
it's what we just said. Maybe it has something to do with what we just talked about.
Yeah, that may be it. And also, like I said, I think there's just numbers. Like I think there's 7 teams in the ALL back east.
8
right?
now. They just got
8 now. And you know, when I was growing up as a player or a coach, Ontario used to win all the provincial or national championships in different divisions, and they were just strong. Lately, I've noticed, you know, Alberta, BC, it's starting to balance out a little bit more. But I would go with that theory that, you know, you got a bulk of players, and maybe there isn't as much of a pool in terms of competition out west. So you have to roll the dice. I'll take an Eastern guy that's in a battle every night, where maybe one of the Western stars shines, but doesn't really have to go after people that, you know, that are tough or competitive as maybe someone from back east. But you know what? It's lacrosse has evolved pretty well. It used to just be BC and Ontario, but we've got some great players coming out of Alberta. They're in the pro league. They're doing great things. I love the Saskatchewan's got a team, and Jeff Shatler just retired, but he did a great job. He's developing things. So, yeah, I think things are great. I think it's exciting. There's a team out in Halifax. So, yeah. It's
and a player got drafted in the first round from Quebec.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good stuff. That's, you know, for someone, like you say, living in Quebec or whatever, says, hey, look, someone got drafted here. It can happen, right?
It means a lot. It means a lot to the game going back.
Totally.
Yeah, the Quebec kid went from Quebec to Alberta, had a great and then he got drafted through an Alberta team, which, you know, the whole thing is kind of weird. But I've been talking to a number of people about it. Is it up to the CLA now not to drop the ball, do you think? That Alberta has actually put a footprint on there and not just been the third team into the Minto?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for a while there, it was just when it first they initiated that rule of having the three teams or whatever, 4 teams, you know, it didn't matter. It was going to be BC versus the Ontario, and it was kind of like just a little gift for the other teams, right? But now it's you know, they're tight games, right? They're tight games, and you know, any one of those 4 teams that are in that tournament could win, really.
Well, yeah, you're talking about tight games like the Mann Cup. The Minto Cup came down. It was a penalty shot with 26 seconds left that would have tied that game. Just incredible. So, yeah, the talent is definitely there. I think now it's time to actually give it a little bit more. I don't know if it's exposure, but a little bit more emphasis, a little more money to build through the Alberta thing. I would love to see the ALL eventually make it through the middle provinces.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
I don't know what that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what the plans are, but that would make sense since it's growing across the country. So that would be good to get everyone an opportunity to play at that level.
Well, you have the chicken and egg situation, right? Players get drafted from there. That raises the profile of the game back home where the kids are playing, right? And then they play a little better. More of them get drafted. So you've got that chicken and egg thing is really hard to get rolling, right? But I think once they get it rolling, it'll work. But one of the things when you guys were talking about that, the thing that goes through my head is that there has to be a way of dividing the teams like they do in curling, where they have, 2 Ontario teams. Why? Because they want to to, you know, give an opportunity to another team that's as good as one in Alberta. Maybe at some point, maybe that's what has to happen to give the other teams a chance to be successful, because success does breed interest in
Totally.
local teams. So there has to be a way to show that, you know, there's talent everywhere, and give an opportunity for everywhere to be, you know, let's face it, get the sunshine, right? Because that's what draws the attention. Is winning counts. It's not the only thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but if it's moved around the country, then it'll increase the game everywhere.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And it's not only for the players, parents get motivated, fans get motivated. Absolutely. The community gets motivated. Those, you know, everyone wants to shine. They want the sun to shine on them, right? So, yeah, you know, it's time for the sun to shine on the West Langley Thunder instead of having these Eastern teams win all the time.
I just got a call from Ontario. It says, "What are you talking about, Frank?" Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're giving away our secrets.
Yeah.
We're letting them in as Pandora's box slowly.
Yeah, no, the game has so many wonderful things about it that have been there. You know, people forget that lacrosse, lacrosse has been competed for on a national level for 150 years. You know, we just talked about the National Hockey League and hockey in general going over 100 years. Just think about that. So, you know, we know the game belongs in Canada. It's been around for a little while. And eventually, I guess, you know, it comes down to that there's a lot of great history. Gary sees it when he goes to Peterborough. I wish I had been able to go. It's just too far for me right now. And you know, going to Langley, going to BC to see all that lovely talent. And I like that you guys are both agreeing, and I think everybody agrees that we should connect the dots. In other words, connect the East to the West by going down the middle. I agree with you guys 100% on that.
Now, we mused a little bit with Paul about having the Man Cup of ALL. You think that could be somewhere in the works, that you have your champion West team against your champion East team?
I think it would be a great idea. I think, you know, it's always good to bring it together and see what you can crown one top ALL team and ALL championship. I don't know if Paul, if that's in the making, but the other leagues finish off with a championship, and so yeah, I think it'd be kind of a neat thing. Even though we're calling it a development league, it's cool. Yeah, it'd be highly recommended.
Absolutely, I think any time to get in a game with that kind of meaning would be good to developmental, especially the next level. Everything is that kind of intensity, so it's great for getting them to the next rung, I think.
Definitely.
Now you took a couple of years off from the Thunder and a few things. You went off to Australia to teach. That in itself is pretty interesting. Any lacrosse stories from out there? Because I know they have a great lacrosse program out there.
Absolutely. Well, what happened was my daughter was dating an Australian, and my wife missed her so much. She said, "Can you see if you can get a teacher exchange?" And ironically enough, the fellow that I swapped houses with, he met his wife here in Whistler, in Vancouver here. So we just swapped houses. I taught in Australia for a year. He taught in my school for a year, and it was an amazing experience. Yeah, my son started off like Gary Gate in Australia because he's a big, strong lefty in lacrosse and played field lacrosse and indoor lacrosse, but he was still 16, and I guess I put him in this men's league, and they almost killed him because they were, you know, strong men, and they want some Canadian kid doing their thing. But yeah, no, I got to meet some high-level lacrosse people that were involved in Australian lacrosse, and in fact, my face-off guy, he didn't get to play in the Man Cup, but he's their face-off guy for their national team. This Nathan Bell kid. So yeah, so we even had a few connections there, but it was a wonderful year. And ironically enough, my daughter decided to come home with us, did not like her scenario. So it was a win-win situation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then you come right back into Langley, and you have this run now. What's in the future?
Yeah, you know what? When you come off a winning season, and don't get me wrong, so it's been 10 years since I've been to a Man Cup as a coach, but yeah, you know what? You kind of build through the draft, and you build through, you know, you bring in players and whatnot. Some some teams are able to bring in some big players. They got good sponsorship and take care of them. So, you know, if we can keep our offense intact and pick up some defense, I think we'll have a legitimate shot. And of course, I don't know if I'm in the plans yet with the owner, but hopefully I am. But you know, I know it's coming eventually, right? 10 years with 11 years with an organization might need a change for both of us. But if it does happen, I don't plan on quitting. I'm gonna try to keep continuing coaching and enjoying it. And then, you know, one day I will just sit up in the stands and be a fan or an armchair quarterback.
I somehow have a feeling with all the expansion going on in the NLL, I think the NLL is more in your future coming along because, you know, you've had your stints with being the first coach ever in Colorado, the Vancouver gig. After Troy and Terry left Calgary, you went with Kurt again and, you know, basically picked up the rungs there in Calgary. So it's a pretty good lineage, I would say. It's time to get back into the NLL.
Yeah, you know what? I being retired now, it's there's no really ties or commitments in there. But yeah, it'd be exciting, and I think I still got something to offer to the game. I'm not one of these guys that just stays with the old times. I try to use some different things and pick people's brains apart, and hopefully, get in there and be able to help someone. I just got back from Vegas. It's probably not a good place for me to coach.
I think Sean Williams has got a pretty good grasp on that one.
Oh,
right?
He does. Trust me.
There's going to be a number of other places coming up, I think.
I said to I'm 6 years old. I says, well, I'm going to behave myself. I'm not going to have my wife with. I'm going to be disciplined. Every night, 4 a.m, I blew out every penny I asked.
Yeah. I try and avoid that one myself because I know me. That would be another entire week without sleep.
I spent a whole week in Vegas, and we were about to leave Vegas. And I said to my wife at the time, I said, well, we can't leave Vegas without gambling. So I took a quarter out of my pocket and put it in the slot. You would be very surprised. So, you know, I just kept going, and we went on to see the big dam. You know, you guys have spent a lot of time seeing lacrosse on and this is a question I have for both of you. It's amazing how lacrosse is 12 months a year. There isn't a time when you can't watch competitive lacrosse. And I'm not talking recorded. I'm talking live to see. How amazing is that in the last couple of minutes we have?
Go ahead, Gary.
I think it's incredible. I love being able to, especially where I'm located in Ontario, that I can go anywhere. Literally, I go east, west, north, south, and I can catch live lacrosse of a surmountable level that is just incredible. And it's the electricity of being in the arenas. It's one thing to go home and watch it, and you're catching a 2-dimensional view of a 3-dimensional game. But to be there live and to see the energy and see the enthusiasm as well as the talent is the most amazing thing for me. And, you know, I think it keeps a lot of us young.
What I find unique, Frank, is our Canadian kids that are in high schools and that, they get scholarships to the States for field lacrosse, right? And a lot of them have a lot of success because playing indoor lacrosse, you have to be good and tight and do your things so they become really good attack guys. But and then it goes full circle. They come out of they get an education. They play college field lacrosse, which is massive. And then they go back into the box lacrosse because, or unless you're PLL, unless you're right up there, because there's opportunities, and I think there's going to continue to be opportunities for that. So I find that dynamic kind of neat.
I think with the new TV contracts and everything like that, the sky is the limit now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities to enjoy the game of lacrosse, and I have to tell you, Coach, you've been a lot of fun, and you're a good egg. I don't think you're a loser. I think Gary just pointed out that your team didn't win.
One period.
You know, I started by kidding you. Listen, you're a really good sport. We had a lot of fun talking about the game before we did the show. We had a lot of fun talking about the game after the show, and I hope we get a chance to talk to you after. We close this one out. It was a real pleasure meeting you and talking to you about this game.
Feelings mutual, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to thank you for taking your time to do this because it was fantastic. And I do want to congratulate you and your team for such a great summer, such a great season, and giving us so many memories of a fantastic Man Cup.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot from a lot of fans, lacrosse, non-lacrosse fans. The actual, the YouTube thing and all that went really well, and the games were competitive, and that's all we can ask for, right?
Absolutely. And the only thing we can ask for is maybe a championship.
Yeah, look at Frankie.
I'm not sure.
Frank, go ahead and let me turn around so you can drive that spike right in the middle of my back.
I'll be there next summer to watch it race.
You got it.
I got news for you. It's going to happen. Trust me. I can't see it not happening. I wish you all the best, and I think you will do it. And it's just a matter of time. And again, I have to remind people, you've gotten there quite a few times, so to get there is a pretty good thing. As much as the Marv Levy thing, that guy, he went on a run, and he's still around. He's 100 years old and he's still around.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
For you.
That's a good sign.
He's a legend, so I would suggest that
truly is.
There you go.
All right,
guys. Thank
Gary,
you.
thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much, Frank. It's always a great day when we talk lacrosse.
And of course, Rod Jensen, thank you for being here, Coach, and having a lot of fun with us talking about the game of lacrosse. I really appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
We're both Gary and Rod. Thank you for watching NLL Lacrosse Talk, seen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network for Spanglish World for Spanglish World Radio Network, and of course for Lacrosse Talk, news, entertainment, and other sports programming we offer. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you again next Thursday at 4 p.m.
Take care, guys.